Hello and welcome to the Southern Business Network. This is East Alabama's premier show for small business entrepreneurs, civic and social organizations. I'm your host, Eric Fowler, and we welcome you. I've got a good friend right here with me to my left, Mr. Ty Mans of TyMans Productions, and he is a local film producer, screenwriter, and the like. And we brought him today just to kind of give some insight about what he's doing. His claim to fame, he is a local talent that is reaching some pretty high standard national coverage, if you will. Would you say that to be the case, Ty?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I just want to toot your horn a little bit here, my brother. So, but we welcome you to the Southern Business Network. Ty, this is a show, if you're not familiar with us, we are highlighting East Alabama's highest talent. Okay. In business, you being a small business entrepreneur yourself. Mm-hmm. And we also highlight civic and social organizations within our communities. And those communities primarily are Phoenix City, Ladonia, Salem, Fort Mitchell, and Smith Station. Okay. Yeah. So tell our viewership a little about who you are and what you've been doing.
Yeah, well, I'm a small town guy.
Okay.
Grew up in a coal mining town in West Virginia. The only escape out of West Virginia was military at the time, and the time I grew up there. Yeah. So I joined the military in the late '70s. I'm dating myself.
That's all right.
But ended up spending 24 years there, and
thank you for serving the country.
Thank you. Went to corporate America after that for 10 years, and decided I wanted to just follow my craft and what I love to do. And 4 years ago, I stood up TyMans Productions, and here we are today, making movies.
Absolutely, making movies. Now you talk about your military experience, and you talk about coming from a small town. Yeah. But that doesn't deter your big dreams.
That's right.
So kind of segue this whole military experience that you've had, 24 years. Yeah. And pretty stellar career at that in the military.
I'd like to think I had a successful career. I made it to retirement.
Absolutely. There you go. So how has that, in essence, that experience catapulted you in some shape, form, or fashion into the film industry?
Well, the one thing that the military will do for you is it teaches you discipline, integrity, loyalty. It gives you a lot of dynamics that you can really place in any wheelhouse that you end up in. Exactly. And in the film world, because you are dealing with large sums of money, which most of the time, not your money.
That's right.
Yeah. It's an investor's money. So you have to be very disciplined about that. You have to be very frugal. You have to know that the money you're spending is for the project. And most of the time, you have to account for that money on a daily basis.
Exactly.
So that's where the discipline part comes in. You have to be aware of what's coming in, what's going out. And then just on the film set itself, you're on there for 12 hours a day most of the time. And people start getting tired. Yeah. And that's when the leadership part comes in. If you're the director or you're the producer, you're the top person on that set. And if you start doing things that are unethical or start showing you're getting tired or you're not putting 100% in, then most of the time the crew will follow.
Oh, yeah.
And the actors can't feed on negative energy. You won't get the best performance. So, you learn these things in the military. So I've been able to at least take some of those parts into this world and say, okay, when I'm out here, I need to be like this. When I'm in here, I need to be like that. And it even goes as a writer. As a writer, you have to sit down and write 90 pages of a story that somebody will want to watch one day.
Exactly.
And sometimes you have deadlines. Your producers will say, hey, we need this back at this time. Mm-hmm. And you have to be disciplined enough to shut off everything, get away from everybody, and sit down and write so that you can meet your deadlines, whether it's a producer deadline or whether it's just a deadline I set for myself.
Exactly.
I'll give myself so many scripts that I want to write a year.
Okay.
And at the beginning of each year, I'll say, okay, I want to write X number of stories. Well, I have a family, 2 kids in college, a wife, So
what you're saying is that time management
is
of the
essence.
essence.
That's
Okay.
right. So
Okay.
there are a lot of things that we learn in the military that you can cross over into just about any profession, and I'm very happy for what the military taught me all those years.
That's great. So tell me this: how did you develop in that stellar 24 years of experience in the military? How did you develop this passion for the film industry?
Well, the passion has always been there.
Okay.
And I tell people this story that when I was a little boy, Conan the Barbarian,
Oh yeah,
my favorite cartoon comic book.
exactly.
And my dad would always buy them. Anytime he'd go somewhere, if there was a new Conan book, he bought it home. And I would read the story in the book or in the cartoon magazine, and then I would take pieces of paper and cover up the bubble and write my own stories. And I was doing that when I was like 8, 9 years old.
That's amazing.
And
That's
I
amazing.
wish today I had those.
Yeah.
Because those are long gone. It would be fun to sit and read through some of the
right.
stuff
Some of the stuff that you wrote.
8-year-old kid was writing.
Absolutely.
So the creative part it's always been there.
Okay.
And I guess I could say maybe I stifled it for a while I was in the military. But when I was in the military, I used that time to study. You know, when I first came in, we didn't have internet or anything like that. But when the internet came along, even when I was overseas, it gave me an opportunity to research and read and do things. And
Work on your craft.
that's right.
Okay.
That's right. So even when, I wrote my first script in 1991. It was an absolute failure.
But that's an interesting point. But that's an interesting point.
That's right. But I did sit down in 91, stationed in Germany, and wrote what I thought was my first movie script. And I still have that. I look at it every now and then. I do. Every now and then I pull it out and look at it. Remind me where I came from.
That's right. There you go. Humble beginnings.
That's right.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So when we talk about your passion and the fact that you are in the industry, and you brought out a pretty interesting point, the fact that you set goals for yourself.
Right.
And I think it's important that our viewership understand the significance of planning.
Oh, yeah.
And the intensity that's involved in setting goals, because, you know, as a good book says, write the vision down, make it plain.
That's right.
And I think a lot of times if we, human nature tends to strike in, and you yourself, you failed in your first attempt.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And you could have actually closed up shop right there.
That's right.
In 1991.
Yeah.
So fast forward, over 20 years later,
Yeah.
you know, here you are, following your passion, following your dream. And that's what this show is all about, the fact that we're honing in on the fact that you have a passion.
Right.
Follow that passion. See it to
Absolutely.
the end through fruition.
Absolutely.
And so let's talk about a little bit about what you've been doing and some recent projects.
Yeah. I started a film a couple years ago. I'll go back to that point.
Okay.
Donate Life America commissioned me to write a story for them. We did that. That movie is on DirecTV now. We were able to get that on DirecTV. I want to say it's channel 179, one of the faith-based channels on DirecTV. So shortly after that, I started work on the project that's coming out in September.
Okay.
And of course, as an independent filmmaker, you have to go out and basically beg for money because
Soliciting for funds.
that's right.
shall we say.
That's right.
Okay.
Because we're not a studio.
That's right.
In studios, they have all the cash in the world to produce these movies, but for us, we have to go out and find investors. And I was just blessed that I got a phone call one day from an investor that said, "Hey, I have money. I want to do a faith-based film. What do you have?" And as God would have it, maybe a week, 2 weeks prior to that script that's coming out, I had entered into a film contest a few months back and found out that I'd won.
Okay.
And I said, well, guess what? I have this script that I actually just won a contest if you want to read it. And they did. And they came back and said, hey, we like it, great foundation, but we want to change some things if you're interested in doing that. And sure, as long as it doesn't take away from the integrity of the message of the film, I'll be happy to do that. And I did. So, but they also told me that, hey, your script and another script we're looking at.
Okay.
And we're going to make a decision in about 10 days which one we're going to produce first. I said, okay, how much of rewriting do you want me to do then?
Because you want to get this
I want to
opportunity.
be-
That's right.
And as it would have it, it was quite a bit. It didn't, the rewrites didn't change the characters or the motivation of the characters, but they wanted me to set the characters in some different locations, and that's important for independent films because the more locations, the more money. The less locations, the less money.
Yeah.
So I had to go back and rethink, okay, how can I take these characters, sit them in a new environment, still make the story work? And so I told him, I said, I'll have you something in 7 days. And that's where that discipline came in. Because I went to my office for 12, 14 hours a day for 7 days, and I just wrote.
My goodness.
And I just wrote.
That's impressive.
And sent it to them. And within a couple of days, they called back and said, okay, we've already made our decision. We're going with your body of work first.
That's awesome.
And so the name of that film is called A Question of Faith.
Okay.
And it will be out in theaters September 29th nationwide.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a blessing. It was a true blessing. It was
A local talent right here in Phoenix City, Alabama, that is doing national activity.
on God's
Speaks
work.
for itself. Doing God's work.
That's right.
Now, let's talk about that because that brings up another a very good topic.
Mm-hmm.
Your focus is faith-based films.
Right.
Why? What's the significance of that?
You know, one, I'm a preacher's kid.
Okay.
So I grew up in that environment all my life.
Okay.
So I've always had an interest in telling stories that people could gravitate to and leave with something, not only just leave entertained, because any movie that you do, you have to write it so it's entertaining.
Exactly.
Otherwise, no one wants to see it.
That's right.
But I also want them just to leave with something other than just being entertained. And when I started looking at the different stories, and I've written all kinds of stories, and I have
An archive
over at the house full of different scripts.
Okay.
But each time I wrote on one of the faith-based ones, it seemed to be fun to me. You know, taking these characters and starting them off completely flawed. You know, no belief in God or no belief in anything, lost in the world, and then bringing them to the end of the story where they've learned something, sometimes still flawed, but ready now to take the next step into faith or something of that nature.
Exactly.
And it was just fun to me. I mean, my kids would tell you there are times and I'll be back in my office talking to myself, laughing, because I would get that involved in the scripts. And I just found that the faith base started working for me. I understood the scripture. I understood how to embed the scripture so that it wasn't gratuitous. It was there to move the story along.
Exactly.
And I just stuck with it and just kept writing and just trying to make it better, make the flow of the stories better. And as God would have it, I tell everybody, I don't know how I come up with these ideas other than the fact that God gives them to me, and I just grab them and write them down on a piece of paper.
That's what there's your answer right there.
I just go, hey, if that's what you're telling me to write, then I'm going to sit down and write it. And that's what I do now. I actually love it. I mean, I think one of the funnest genres to write as a writer is faith-based. And there's a need for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's an absolute need for it. I mean, faith-based, the genre has really taken a leap in the past 10 years or so with the Kendrick brothers down in Albany, Georgia, doing the Fireproofs and the Courageous.
That's right.
So, I mean, the genre has really taken a leap forward. And there just aren't many faith-based screenwriters that are writing stories right now that are making it to a national release.
Okay.
So I figured the genre, it wasn't crowded.
Okay.
It's crowded at certain levels, but it's not a crowded field to be in when you're trying to seek national levels.
Exactly.
So I figured, okay, that's a good start then. Why don't I start here and stay here for a while and see where it takes me? And it's taking us to where we are now.
Well, and and I make some comparisons, if I may.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We look at the Tyler Perrys of the world, who got their start doing, I guess, faith-based plays, if you will.
That's right.
With a little bit of a different twist in some regard.
Yeah, so I call them more like relationship movies with a faith-based twist.
Exactly, exactly. And he then catapulted that into movies.
That's right.
You, on the other hand, have done strictly faith-based films.
Right, that's right.
Now, would you consider that to be that plateau in the industry? Or do you see, I guess, from a standpoint of some additional accomplishments that you'd like to see yourself? Would you like to see yourself going to stage?
Well, the short answer is no, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
My mentor out in California told me once, either you're a screenplay writer, or you're a book writer, or you're a playwright. Figure out which one you want to be.
Okay.
And I tried to write a book, and I probably made it to the first 30, 40 pages and said, okay, this is really hard work.
Yeah, yeah.
And this is very time consuming. And I couldn't fit the pieces together in the book.
Okay.
Because a screenplay writer, we're visual writers. You know, if we write something, let's say to you and I at this table, if I write in a script that you and I at this table, all I have to write is you and I sitting at a table with a green screen behind us.
Okay.
That will be seen on the screen.
That's right.
But if I have to write that in the book, then I have to describe what we're wearing, what's in the room, how many people. I had to set that ambiance in the room.
Okay.
And it becomes very difficult to me. I'll tell you, I don't know how book writers do it. I have all the respect in the world for book writers. And stage play writers, they have to write in very short sequences, and because people are coming in and out and the stage is moving, every other 10, 15 minutes, sets are changing.
Certainly.
And I honestly just don't have an interest in that.
Okay.
I just really love sitting down and penning out 90 pages with 8 to 10 characters that all have different characteristics and flaws about them.
Yeah.
That someone can get on a screen one day and see it and go, wow, that was cool.
Exactly.
That was entertaining.
Yes.
I got a message from that.
Yeah.
So for me, I think my plateau will be just making bigger movies.
Okay.
I've always set a goal that my first movie was only $5,000. And so I said,
Stop there.
Yeah.
Stop there.
Yeah.
$5,000.
$5,000. Made my first film for $5,000.
And I think that's important, that our viewership understand the fact that while $5,000 to some might be a huge expense,
Right.
when you put that in terms of what the average cost of a film
Yeah.
goes for,
Yeah, that's right.
that's not even scraping the surface, if you will.
That's probably not even the coffee budget.
Exactly. So you did your very first.
That's right.
For $5,000.
Yeah, I had goals for myself. I said, okay, I want to do a 4-figure movie, then move to a 5-figure movie, and then move to a 6-figure movie. We're in the 6-figure movie right now.
There has been growth.
Yeah. So the next step for me is to go into the 7- and 8-figure movies.
Absolutely.
And that doesn't mean I won't do another 6-figure movie.
Sure.
I will. But at some point, I want to move to the 7-figure, to the 8-figure. And then that's my plateau, that's my growth.
Okay.
It's not so much going into a different area of writing. It's staying where I'm at, getting better where I'm at, working every day, reading, researching, learning every day, but just keep growing in this field.
Exactly.
Because believe me, we know there are movies being made for $300-400 million.
That's right.
Now, I don't know if I want to tackle that down the road, but I do see myself in the 7-8 figure, easy, and I pray that that's somewhere in the very near future.
Exactly. Well, I'm praying with you, and we're going to agree and touch and agree on that. That's
right.
going to be the case, my friend. Now, as it relates to this film, this dynamic film that's coming out September 29th.
September 29th.
And it will be in our local
local
market.
The poster's up on the wall over in the theater at the AMC 15 right now.
You heard that.
Yep, and a friend called us and said, hey, I saw the trailer at the movie the other day. We went to the movies and we saw your trailer play. So we know it's going to play over here, and we just don't know the show times yet. They usually don't release show times until about 7 to 10 days out.
This is phenomenal. Southern Business Network, we've got a talent right here in our midst that's got a movie. Please give the name of the movie again.
A Question of Faith.
A Question of Faith. Now, without giving away, because again, we're talking about the message
Right.
that this movie, and obviously the message, in my opinion, could very well be in the title.
Absolutely, the whole entire message is in the title.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I mean
okay.
that's yeah. You have three families who are all from the same town but don't know each other, and a single tragedy causes all three families to question their faith.
Wow.
And that's just about all I can say.
I was just going to say, was there more that you could give us? But
I could give
that's
you a lot
enough.
more.
That's enough of a cliffhanger to make us go.
But you can go to the website,
Okay.
questionoffaith.com,
Okay.
and read all about what I just told you, and to see the cast. It's an incredible cast, and an incredible director, great producers. So, and we have PureFlix, which is the premier distributor of faith-based films. They distribute God's Not Dead and other movies like that.
Okay.
Distributing the film. So I can't tell you just how blessed and happy we are
Absolutely.
for this movie. This project is, in fact, yesterday, if I can add this, we became the only movie to be shown to Congress. And
Is that right?
Yesterday, the movie screened in Washington, D.C. in Congress to all the sitting congressmen and senators.
Well, if there's anybody that could truly use a boost right now.
And actually, if you go on the Question of Faith Facebook page, one of the congressmen actually say that after the movie. Talks about the movie and the state of America and how he feels this movie is exactly what's needed right now.
The timing couldn't have been more perfect.
Perfect.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That's awesome. Well, let's do some quick. I like to call this a lightning round of questions. If
All
you
right.
can, Ty,
Let's
if
do
you
it.
don't mind. What's your favorite movie and why?
Wow. My favorite movie is a movie called Seven, Morgan Freeman.
I remember that one.
Yep, Morgan Freeman, and an early Brad Pitt movie.
Okay.
And I say that because first I thought it was a great story. It's cliffhanger all the way through, very well written. But that was one of the scripts that I studied over and over again as I was learning how to write. As I learned the different parts of a script, how to break it down. I just read that script so many times, watched that movie probably 50 or 60 or more times already.
Okay.
But I just love that movie. I just think it's a very well written movie.
Awesome, awesome. What would you like, or I should say, what actors? Because obviously you've got a nice plateau of personalities that you've already worked with. What actors would you like to see yourself working with in the future?
Well, the one I pray that I'll be able to work with in the very near future is T.C. Stallings.
Okay.
T.C. Played the lead character in War Room.
Yes.
And he's also in A Question of Faith. And when he and I were on the set filming A Question of Faith, we talked about different movies that he liked. And I said, you know what? I think I have a perfect movie for you. I'm going to rewrite this movie because I think you will be great in it. And it was actually the first film that I made, the $5,000 movie. I rewrote it into a full feature. He read it and he said, yep, if you get it funded, I want to be your guy. And I love the way he acted. I love what I saw and what you're going to see on screen. And I think he will be perfect for the lead character in this next film.
Have you come up with a title for it yet?
The Turning Point.
The Turning Point.
Yep. Another faith-based film.
All right, I like that. The Turning Point.
Yep. And you know, in each one of my movies, I try to take on some social issue.
Okay.
Like this film, we're taking on texting and driving and organ donation. In The Turning Point, we take on PTSD.
Interesting.
So we're going to see how faith can help people who are suffering from PTSD.
That's big. And the fact that we've got Fort Benning right in our backyard.
That's right. Yeah.
That speaks as paramount to really kind of understanding that whole concept.
Yeah.
I
I think he's going to be perfect in this movie.
That's great.
And we're working to get that funded right now. We're begging for money.
Now that brings up on begging for money, but for a worthy cause.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I
Very
mean,
worthy
these films, again, they're supposed to be entertaining, but we're praying that they'll help people.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
we understand that church may not be the cure for PTSD, but it could be a bridge.
Yes.
It could be a bridge for these kids who are out there, and these soldiers, Marines, airmen, sailors, who are sadly taking their lives because they have no one to talk to maybe, or they don't know where to go talk to.
Yes.
And we're trying to show them that, hey, come to the church while you're getting help or waiting for help, and someone there will be able to talk to you and help you.
Exactly.
So,
My last question. What to date is your greatest accomplishment?
my kids, my 2 boys.
Your 2 boys.
That's right.
And your lovely wife, might I add.
My marriage is great, but I think my wife and I would both agree that our kids are our greatest accomplishments. I mean, we've been blessed to have 2 boys that made it through life so far without involved in any legal issues or drugs, alcohol, any of those things. We have our oldest son is at the University of Tampa on a ROTC scholarship.
Okay.
And our youngest son is at Newberry College in South Carolina on an academic and track scholarship.
Okay.
So I think my wife Nia and I would both say that our sons have been our greatest accomplishment.
That is awesome.
Definitely for me.
Absolutely.
You know, I love my wife and she knows that.
Yes.
But what our boys are doing with their lives, I look at it now and go, man, thank you, Jesus.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Do you think either one of your sons might have an interest in taking the mantle and getting in the industry?
I think my oldest,
Okay.
DeLon,
Okay.
he, you know, when I was doing these films, he was holding the boom mics all those years and doing
Okay.
things, and he's actually studying film production as his degree at Tampa. So we'll see.
Awesome.
We'll see after he serves his time in the uniform where it leads.
That's right. That's right.
You got to give Uncle Sam that.
You got to get his just
back.
due. That's right.
That scholarship.
That's right. That's
So
right.
he's happy about that. He loves the Marine Corps and what it's teaching him and what he's learning. So
Good deal.
it's great.
Good deal. Well, Tyman of Tyman's Productions, it has been a pleasure having you here on the Southern Business Network. I'm just happy to know you.
It's been my pleasure.
Hey,
Thank
absolutely.
you for inviting me.
Absolutely. It's good to have you here.
Yeah, thank you.
Now,
brother.
if the viewing audience wants to get in contact with you, just learn a little bit more about any upcoming projects.
Right.
What's the best way that they could reach out to you?
TyMansProductions.com.
You heard it first right here.
Find me there.
You've heard it first right here on the Southern Business Network. I've been your host, Eric Fowler, and it's been a pleasure. Please stay tuned. If you'd like to get in contact with me and have your business on the Southern Business Network, give me a call personally, 706-718-9752, or you can contact me by email, Fowler, Fowler, _enterprises@yahoo.com. Thank you so much for your time. We'll be back with more information and more viewers and more guests right here on the Southern Business Network.